Hi, and welcome to SpiroFit. I'm Lawrence Piscantini, and I'm going to take you through ears, eyes, and feet. With me is my co-presenter and friend, Bernadette O'Brien. I call her Super Betty. For this DVD, we'll be working on improving the overall balance of the feet and ankles that take us through our entire lives. Then we'll be focusing on two factors that affect balance, the eyes and the ears, and what happens when the eyes and the ears connect to the feet and ankles. And then we'll be doing some standing movement. Your equipment for this whole interactive workout experience will be a bag of beans or lentils, a dinner roll or plate, a glass, and a bottle of water. Also, if you feel more comfortable trying this with your shoes on, please feel free, although we won't be able to get into all the intricacies of what happens between the toes, as you will be able to without socks, without stockings, and without shoes. Let's get started. Bernadette, we're gonna start at our feet because it's our feet that carry us through our whole lives. So we'll do some foot warm up, okay? Let's bring our hands on the knees. We're sitting comfortably on a chair. If you have back issues, I'd say make sure you keep your spine against a back, or put a pillow between you and the back of the chair. But you don't have any back issues, and we want some mobility. Feet should be on the floor flat. Let's do some warm-up exercises for the feet. Let's raise the toes and put them down. Then clench down and come back to neutral. Raise the toes, put them down, then clench down and come back to neutral. Raising, lowering, clenching, coming to neutral. Try it a few more times, and you'll start to feel those muscles of the toes warming up. Do you not feel distinctively different between the toes and the ankles that we did nothing for yet?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now let's try this. Raise the heels and lower them down. Raise the heels. And let's do a seated walking. One heel and then the other heel, warming up the movements, warming up the ankles, one heel up, and then when that heel goes down, the other goes up. That's exactly right. Now let's try this. The two movements we've learned. The toes come up of your right foot, the heel comes up of your left, and switch. Like seated walking. Wonderful. So keep trying that, maximizing the movement so you find the end ranges of your flexibility. In other words, you do as much movement as you can each side. So if I said when your heel is up, could you raise your heel even more? The answer is no. So you're doing as much as you can each time. So that's the seated walking. Let's try this now. Put down just the big toes and raise them. Just the big toes and raise them. Beautiful. Just the big toes and raise them. Do you notice that it's easier for you on one foot than the other? And that's absolutely normal. No judgments, just awareness. Just tapping the big toes. Should we try the opposite? It's a little harder. Check this out. The big toes stay up, the other toes go down and raise up. The other toes go down and raise up. So keep looking at your big toes and try to send a message that the big toe stays up while the other toes go down. As you can see, Bernadette's looking at her feet like she's seeing them for the first time, and perhaps you are as well. If it makes you smile and it makes you laugh, then we're achieving our purpose, because you have to learn a little bit of new movements to be able to grow. And growth means new movements. So we're going to do all this together now. The big toes, then the other toes, then raise the other toes and finish with the big toe up. Big toe down first, look at those facial expressions. Then the other toes down, priceless. Then all the toes up and finish with the big toes up. Beautiful, that was getting easier, like riding a bike. Notice how you wanted to move your fingers, have your hands as well, right? Because you want to connect. Notice if that's happening to you as well. That shows you two things. It helps hands and feet coordination, and number two, this is completely unrehearsed, obviously. So the big toes go down, then the other toes go down. Let's try a toe fan. If you're hot in church and you're in Spain, what are you going to open up? Absolutely, you're going to open up a fan. So let's do a toe fan like this. Put the big toes down, and then spread the other toes and push them down so that you sort of see the color of our wooden floor between and among the toes. Beautiful. Then raise them all up. And then clench them a few times to separate that, and try this again. Big toes down, separate the other toes, and put them down. It's called a toe fan, and the more we do this, the more we will be able to increase the stability of the front of the foot, which helps us from falling. Raise all the toes, clench a few times, and let's try that again. Big toes down, spread the toes, and put them down. Now, barefoot fitness for active aging exercisers number 2. The toes don't just work front and back the way we walk, but the whole foot goes in and outside. Check this out. Watch my knees as well. I'm going to imagine that the bottoms of my feet have a light, and I'm going to shine the light of the bottoms of the feet towards each other and then away from each other. Notice when the ankles turn in, what happens to the knees? They go out. Right. And when the light goes out, the knees touch. So we're learning something through experiential discovery that the ankle and the knees do opposing movements. Try to keep the spine upright, so when you look down with the neck, but not the whole spine. That's really good. And you're breathing and activating the pelvic floor and staying hydrated. Those are all important things. If you want some support for the spine, you can take your hands to the chair like this and give yourself a little support that way. So you're moving the light on the bottoms of the feet. Are you moving the knees, yes or yes?
Yes.
Now let's try a little bit harder, and let's take away together the movement of the knees. Let's put your hands on the other side of the knees. And let's try to move that same shining the light without moving the knees. Much harder, right?
Yes.
You are decreasing the range of motion, but you're training these muscles, Bernadette, so much more. Right. So we start this movement by exaggerating light, shine the light in and out, moving the knees, but now we want to move the ankles as much as possible, minimizing the movement of the knees. So try to put your hands on top of the knees now to remind you not to move the knees, there's the stability, but maximize the movement of the ankles. Can you feel all these muscles turning on?
Yes.
Look at that consternation in her face, because people might look at this if you're not trying it and say, it's an ankle workout, but it is an ankle workout. And what do you walk around with in your daily life? Your ears, your biceps, your shoulders, your abs? No, it's your feet, right? And the number one fear is a fear of falling down. So let's work on that stability of the ankles. So in and out. What did we do so far, Bernadette? Toes, heels, inversion and eversion. Can we make some circles the whole way? Whoa, hear those little cracks and pops in the ankles? That's good, because it's the ankle joint lubricating itself. You have liquid in the joints, and when we do this in the morning, we're increasing that ankle liquid, and that's called synovial fluid. Let's go the other direction. Sort of like egg beaters that you might teach in aqua fitness, right? With the arms and legs going in opposite directions. And now how do your feet feel compared to 5 minutes ago, 7 minutes ago? A little more warm, a little more warmed up, a little ready for some headstands? We won't be doing any headstands today, because this is called feet, eyes, and ears. So we raised the toes, we did inversion and inversion. Let's try this. Let's raise your right leg, holding on the bottom of it, and make some ankle rotations. The spine stays tall, we stay tall in the spine. You can always smile a little bit as long as it's small and conservative and reasonably controlled. It works every time. Don't you love it? And let's put that down and go to the other side and raise that other side and make some ankles rotations. Do you notice that one side might feel a little more poppy and one side, you do, one side might feel a little looser, and that's wonderful. We say, in some mindful disciplines, no judgments, just awareness. Just kind of feeling the differences between ankles is wonderful. We are completely not balanced. And I'll say it again, we are completely not balanced. We just want to celebrate those differences. So that was a little foot warm up, and we worked on ankles, we worked on the toes, we worked on the bottom of the foot. Yes? The last thing I'm going to do before we move on from the foot is to take your right ankle and cross it over the left. Wonderful. And now we're going to play with our feet. It's some of the most wonderful time you'll ever have in a fitness experience. Let's take the thumbs like this and just massage the balls of the feet. So you're just making circles. There's no rhyme or reason. You're just putting pressure. Just making little circles like this on the tops of the feet, under the big toe, and then under the next toes, all the way to the little toe, not judging the feet or the pedicure or how it feels, just putting a little bit of pressure and love and attention into the feet. And then we go up and down like this on the balls of the feet. That's beautiful work, moving the fingers up and down each side, and then sort of wave at me with the toes. Wonderful. How are you? Nice to meet you. If you put your left hand up and you put your right hand up, how would you say how to do with yourself? You'd say how to do. How do you do? Nice to meet you. We're going to shake hands with our feet. Left hand goes down. Good. Now your right hand, take your fingers in between the toes. Oh, you've done this before, I see. Faster than I am. And you sort of now shake hands with yourself and wiggle the toes and say, how do you do? How does that feel? A little strange, right? But the more we put space between the fingers of our feet, the more we're opening up those muscles and preparing for foot fitness, helping the first exercise, the toe fans, to become easier and preventing falling, like the front of a duck's foot. It's very wide, right? The wider it is, the more we can spread our toes, the least likely we're able to fall. Let's go down and try the other side, shall we? Okay, let's cross the ankle. Even that exercise might feel easier on one hip than another hip. It does. And first, let's make those massaging actions with both thumbs, in and around. Oh, you know what's even better than doing this, Bernadette? Having someone do it for you. I know, right? But I'm not offering right now. I'm trying to teach you how to do it yourself. Then we do this movement up and down with the thumbs, under the big toe, and then under the next toe, and under the next toe. Some people say how long. I like to say a good minute per foot is sort of bare minimum. Once per week is okay, but every night, give yourself some time to do this, or get somebody else to do it for you, and you're really good at what you do. Then we're going to shake hands with our feet. Wave at me first. Hello, how are you? Waving hands with those toes. Hello, wonderful. Then your right hand comes and finger in between. On one foot, it feels more comfortable than the other. And this concludes the barefoot part of the foot warm-up, shaking hands with the feet and saying hello. How does that feel?
Very good.
Yeah, good for you. Now let's move on to the next part. Feet are next to each other, and we're going to do the eyes and the ears. First, we take our hands out in front, and keeping the eyes on the thumbs, and keeping the head level. Imagine you were in a car accident, God forbid, and you have a brace on your neck. You may not turn your neck. Just move your right thumb and come back. Good. And you can move your other right thumb now. When I'll tell you right or left, we'll really use your right or left. So use your right to the right. Good. Come center. And now your left and come center. Second exercise, completely different. You're going to follow the thumb, but you have a neck brace, so you can only follow the thumb with your eyes. The head cannot move. And you come back center, and you should try this for about 1 minute. It's very challenging, isn't it, to train the eyes that not allow the neck move. It's the second thing we should do. The third thing, even more challenging, Bernadette, I'm going to take off, you can look at me now, you're going to take off the neck brace, and you are going to keep your eyes on your left thumb. Wiggle your left thumb. Keep wiggling that left thumb. You're going to look at it. Your right thumb is going to go, but you're going to move your head, but your eyes still follow only the moving thumb. The neck brace is off, and you come back center. Now wiggle your right thumb. Keep looking at the right thumb, and follow with your head the moving thumb, and come back. And steady. Very challenging, yes? Now, the third progression is to put all that together. So you look, you listen, and you feel. So the neck is turning, the eyes are turning, and you're challenging the eye system, which is called visual affect. It improves balance, affects balance. And the inner ear liquid, that's called vestibular liquid, that improves and affects balance. And the last thing, just for fun, let's make little figure eights here. A figure eight number laying on its side, we call that infinity. And now just try that with the left side, make an infinity symbol, up and down, following that with your eyes and your head, and the other arm, up and down, and come steady. You would try that every day until you feel very comfortable, a minute a day of just doing nothing, just moving the eyes, just moving the neck, and then putting it all together will help this part of the core and the balance of eyes and ears all stay together and working in communication. Really, that's what balance and not falling is, muscular communication. So now that we've done that, we're going to stand up and do something called creek crossing. So I'm going to invite you to put your weight forward and sit down a few times, activating your core, shifting forward and pushing down. Navel squeezes in, pushing forward and squeezing down. Last one, let's go all the way up. Exhale. Awesome. Now I'm going to invite you to come forward a little bit with me and imagine here is a creek. I'm on one side of the creek and you're on the other side of the creek. So how wide is our creek? Only this wide. Yes?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what you're going to do. You're going to cross the creek like this. Right now, you're just going to stand and watch. In a moment, I'm going to hold your hand. That makes you feel good, doesn't it? In a moment, I'm going to hold your hand, and you are going to be, from this starting position, you're going to step over the creek, and then you're going to move forward and step over the creek. Then you're going to step forward, step over the creek, step over the creek. And then you're going to step backwards where you cannot see, but you may look over your shoulder, which is why we just did this movement, as you go backwards over the creek. So give me your hand, please. Step over the creek. Right, and then come over. Did you get your feet wet?
No.
She didn't, did she? Awesome. Go back over the creek, moving forward, yes. and right foot forward, over the creek, moving forward, and left foot. Awesome. And then forward to the right. And back where you started. Oh, can we go backwards?
Yes.
Of course, but I'm going to show you a double whammy. Not only are you going to go backwards, change that facial expression, you're going to not touch me. You can take your hands out to the side. I'm here for you, kind of, sort of. Step backwards over the creek, feet together. Awesome. And left, diagonal, backwards over the creek. Are your feet still dry?
Yes.
And backwards over the right. And backwards over the left, where you started. And then walk in place a little bit. Shuffle back a little bit, and you're almost at your chair. So that was the creek crossing. That improves balance, it improves stability, but having done this first is so important because you have to look over your shoulder when you're rotating so that you don't fall down. Make sense?
Yes, it does.
The next thing we're going to do is play with beans. We're not going to eat them, so I don't want you to be nervous about that. I want you to be happy that we're going to use a bag of beans or lentils to teach you neck and core stability. Many times, seniors have a fear of and then of not being able to
Get up.
And so if they shuffle, where do they generally tend to look?
Down.
They do tend to look down. So we're going to address that. Check this out. I'm going to take these beans, which are in a Ziploc bag, Ziploc better, or you can use just the way the beans come. I'm going to move them from side to side and find sort of a sweet spot of center, put them on my head, see if I feel comfortable there, and I'm going to start a march in place, reach for the beans, and then pass them off to you. Let's try that, Bernadette. Shifting the beans go to the head, nice and relaxed, finding that little sweet spot. Hands come back to your side, and march, march, march in place. Reach back up and take those beans and pass them back to me. Wonderful. You weren't looking down at your feet this time, were you? Not that you do normally, but don't your classes and clients sometimes in your balance classes? So what I want to teach you now is how to pick up the beans when they fall, because, my friend, they will. We are going to face forward. We're going to take our hands to the thighs, hinge to the knees, reach your left hand forward, come back to the knee, right hand forward, come back to the knee, reach both hands forward, back to the knees, and stand up. Same, watch me. Here comes the sound effect. Watch, we're going to hinge forward. We're going to reach forward with both hands, keeping the spine strong. What's doing all the work? The legs. Reaching for my beans and then standing back up in a hinge. Here comes the sound effect. Are we ready?
Yes.
Hinge forward. Both hands go forward. Bring those beans up and stand up. Wonderful. Let's check the edge of the beans, make sure it's still closed, and let's find a place where you can put it on your head, where you feel comfortable. You sort of separate the beans to that sweet spot for the scalp. Hands come back to the side. May I say, Bernadette, you've never looked lovelier. Can you start to march? Wonderful. Can you start to teach Zumba? Not now. Can you walk forward and come to me in a little figure eight? Wonderful. Come back to the original position in a full circle. Face our friends watching. And because you're so flawless, I'm going to have to ask you, well, just one time, my little overachiever. Come around again. Okay, one more time. Good. One more circle. Because you're so flawless, let's stop right there. I'm going to invite you to tilt your head forward so the beans fall. Oh, Bernadette, your beans fell off. So how are we going to pick up the beans? The way I showed you before. Show me, please. We get in behind the object. We hinge forward. We activate the core. We reach forward. The spine stays nice and long and stable. Pull the elbows in and then unhinge and stand tall. Let's put those beans on your head one more time, because I can tell you're enjoying this. Wonderful. And make a circle over your left shoulder and then come back to me. So you're actually doing something over the other side as well. Wonderful. All the way out to Alabama, and then come all the way back and join us back here. Wonderful. Give me the beans, please, just by holding your forward. Tilt, 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 tilt. Thank you very much. How was that?
That was great.
Stabilizing exercises, keeping the shoulders down, the neck long. Let's turn and face our friends at home, and let me give you the second exercise, which is called carry the glass. What's it called?
Carry the glass.
Carry the glass. You think you're going to carry it like that? No.
I doubt.
Good. You're going to carry this plate on either side. The glass can move, but you don't want to break it because it's my favorite glass in the whole world. Not true. I'd like you just to start marching. Imagine you had the beans on your head, so you're going to raise the chin a little bit. Wonderful. And make a little figure eight or undulating infinity sign, however you'd like to. Try to stay within the confines of our beautiful living room. And then let's go over the other shoulder. Okay, and then the other way. Wonderful. I like to hear the glass on the plate. That's wonderful. Look at that face. Wonderful. Are you nervous doing that?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thanks for being honest. What would make that harder? Two progressions. Same, but hold the plate with one arm. Awesome. Can we do that? Do a little walking. Awesome. Over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder, keeping the spine long and strong, imagining the beans on your head as you're making all those undulating symbols. Wonderful. Come on back. Wonderful. And we're going to turn and face our friends walking. The next progression would be to do this with the beans on your head. They've already seen that you can do that. The next progression is to fill up your glass of water. Now, I could fill it all the way to the brim, but I think I'll allow you to use both hands. I can hear the breathing already as the nervousness builds. I'm going to go about 4 centimeters from the edge, and I'm just going to ask you to do the same thing, trying to keep the plate dry. This is going to teach upper body stability, core training. It's not how fast you go, it's how stable you remain, my friend. Your walking time starts right now. Carry the glass, working on the feet first, the vestibular second, then the eyes, then the ears, then we give her the glass of water, send her on her way, and then we bring her back without the beans the first week, and then maybe you try this with your beans the second week. That's just beautiful, Bernadette. I'm going to invite you to pass that off to me. Thank you. And I'm going to come back and have a seat on your chair. The way we got up was to put the hands forward. The way we're going to get down is to reverse that. Here comes a sound effect for you. Hands come forward and decrease or reverse that squat. That concludes this experience with beans, with water, that we start by working on the feet. Then we do the eyes and then the ears, and we put it all together for barefoot total body balance by walking, stabilizing, working on stability and mobility. New things for you?
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining me. I think you are a trooper. Thanks for joining. Stay touched.